Hey, welcome World Entertainment, and it's finally here, the last episode of Daredevil Born Again Season 1. So it's over for now. Of course, we probably won't get the second season till some stage next year. Does this episode really answer everything or wrap everything up or open up new mysteries and stuff? Kind of, yes and no. It's kind of all over the place. We do find out what Fisk's plan is all along. Bullseye, yeah, nothing with Bullseye. The only bit we get with him is literally a flashback of Vanessa hiring him. That's it. That's really all there is of Bullseye. So don't expect to see him running around. We do get Punisher back in this episode and going full Punisher in this episode, which is cool. Karen is back in this episode, and yes, we do get Daredevil in this episode. I was thinking, okay, he's just taking a bullet for Fisk. Is this going to be an episode of him just lying in a hospital bed? No, he immediately escapes, suits up, and starts fighting. How and why? We get to that. Overall, I should say there is it's a mid-credit scene. It's not a post-credit scene. It's a mid-credit scene. And I suppose the big spoiler straight away is Foggy alive? No. Not according to this episode anyway, because there's no indication that Foggy is still alive. It's very evident through this episode that he is in fact dead. So, what was this episode overall? Well, of course, it's the repercussions of Matt getting shot by Bullseye. Well, he took the bullet for Fisk, and he's in hospital. By the way, as soon as we see him in hospital, Heather is there, and so is Duffy, and Heather's still just being an obnoxious bitch to him. It's like, he's literally just being shot, and you're still like, ugh, this guy. It's like, wow. She's only in the beginning and the end of the episode, so she's not really a part of this episode, oddly enough. But it's basically him knowing that Fisk set up the hit on Foggy and stuff. Well, Vanessa did and stuff, but he can't figure out why. Mayor Fisk now wants to use this attempt on his life to take full control of the city. And the way to do that is he's basically gonna take over the city, shut down the power grid, do cause riots, because he wants all the bridges and the subway, everything shut down. And his secretary, whose name I finally remember because they said it about 20 billion times in this episode, is Sheila. She's like, sir, I know you were shot at, but you can't actually do that because it has to be a threat to the public. Which is why he comes up with the idea, okay, we'll shut down the grid. And basically, for some reason, they shut down the grid. All chaos happens. Like, riots break out. And people don't realize that he shut down the power grid. Nobody realizes that the power grid was even shut down. As far as you could tell, it would just look like a power outage in the city. And they go rioting, they go looting, you name it. It's like, why would that happen with a power outage? But he uses that obviously to get the task force out there. And the task force this time do fully have the Punisher logos on their chest. We do see that he also sends Buck. I kept seeing his name as Cash, but it's Buck. Maybe Cash is the fat gay dude. But Buck, the English guy, he's sent to the hospital to kill Matt. He basically, Fisk wants to make it look like a dead hero is better than an alive vigilante. So maybe he succumbs to his injuries. Of course, Matt hears him coming and leaves. That's when he goes home, rides in the apartment. Frank Castle is there, the Punisher. He's like, we're going to have to take these down. The task force arrives. The two of them are suited up. Matt is trying to knock them out and trying to convince Frank to stop killing them. He's brutally killing them. Like, he's blown their heads off. He's stabbing them multiple times. He's basically chopping them up. All this stuff. And the black guy who's always with the main fella of the corrupt guys who was on the train platform, he is the one who actually shot and killed White Tiger. We find that out. Matt just knocks him out in the end after Punisher sticks a knife through his hand, which pins him to the wall. And then those two start fighting because like Matt and Frank, because Matt is like, you can't help yourself, can you? Because Punisher's just killing everyone. And he hears a grenade and they escape. And it's when they escape, a car pulls up and they turn around and it's Karen. And she tells them to get in. There seems to be a thing between Karen and Punisher. Okay, whatever. He basically doesn't want to help now. You know, they're like, okay, we gotta go and find out what Foggy was actually about to do with his case that got him killed, and why Vanessa Fisk is the one who ordered this. And Frank is like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I owe Karen a favor. I've done that favor. But they go, and this is where we find out what the whole plan and plot of the show is. Why Fisk wants to be mayor and all this crap, and what actually is his plan. The Dockland that he is redeveloping now. It turns out Vanessa found out, or at least when she was using the business in that area where she was storing all the art and stuff, it's not under US law in anything in the state or the actual country. It's basically its own little country, so it doesn't have to go through taxes or customs or anything. So while she was putting trillions or millions through it, Fisk is going to redevelop it and use it to move billions through it. That's the whole idea of Fisk in this show, is to make money out of an area of New York that apparently is exempt to law in both the state of New York and the entire country of the US. That's it. That's what his plan was. You're like, that's it. That's the whole big idea for him becoming mayor and stuff, is to do this. He wants to make sure he weeds out anyone who's against him, and he finds out that, of course, the police commissioner is against him. And it's what he does with the police commissioner is probably the most violent part. This, by the way, is a very violent episode. Like, there's blood and guts all over this episode. But it's what Kingpin does to the commissioner, which is like, whoa, they went there, alright. He is literally crushing his head and ends up, his left hand goes through the top of his skull while his right hand pushes and breaks his jaw off and rips it down. It's like, oh. And he has half the task force standing there watching this to make sure that they're loyal and on his side as well. We also see during the riots, which is hilarious again because it's only because they turned the lights off, is that there's a teenager, he's like looting a shop, and he comes out and he's told freeze. You hear him being told freeze. He puts his hands up and all of a sudden he gets shot, and it's two of the task force people, and they're like, one of them's like, Jesus dude, it was just a kid, and he's like, no, and pulls his hat down just over his eyes and goes, he was a vigilante. It was like, okay. And Heather, she accepts this. The only other time we see her at the end of the episode, she accepts the offer from Kingpin to become commissioner of mental health in his organization. The next day, by the way, Frank goes and gets himself captured. He goes, faces the task force, does take out a bunch of them, quite gruesomely as well with some of them, but ultimately gets captured and beaten down by them. And then they're all beating the shit out of him. They want him to join them so they could fight with him, and he's like, no. And so they continue to beat the shit out of him. But he's been held down in that dockland where Daredevil and Karen show up, and Matt wants to go in and fight. Now, he doesn't know that Frank has been captured or anything, but he wants to go and try and fight the task force and stuff, and Karen convinces him not to because he's injured. So it's going to be one of two things. Either he's going to fight to die and lose, or he's going to have to kill. Either way, he loses. So he decides not to. There is another part, by the way, which I forgot, which I said when Fisk wants to find out who's on his side. The gay guy, I always call him the gay guy because he's got that gay lisp. Him and Buck call in all the committee and is like, trying to pressure them into going with Fisk's idea of basically martial law and stuff. When they're like, this is insane, he starts mentioning, oh yeah, you've money in a Swiss account and you've money here, blah blah blah, and threatens them. So of course they'd be on his side. And you're just like, a Swiss account? Wow, people really still think people use the hidden offshore Swiss accounts. Okay, either way, that's how they get those people on board. But we immediately go to the next day, and Fisk does a broadcast where he says the commissioner retired, even though he killed him. He's saying he retired and abandoned the city at a time of need and stuff, and I'm not going to do that, so I'm implementing my measures right now, which is there's going to be a curfew from 8 p.m. All vigilantism is now illegal, and the city is now under martial law through his task force. And that's basically where it ends. Oh, and while that's happening, he's saying all this shit. It's going through all these different people to show you everyone in the series where they are, kind of what they're doing. So you see just about everyone kind of just doing nothing really, just kind of looking around. But the hilarious thing is, he's saying this the very next day after they turn the power back on and shit, where all these riots, and we see the riots, like there's cars burning, they're fighting against the cops, you name it. And then the very next day, nothing's happening in the city. People are just walking around doing their usual shit, and it's like, what happened to the riots? How did that just stop within a couple of hours? Don't know, but it barely did, which I thought was hilarious. So we're just kind of seeing people, and yeah, it ends with Matt saying we need an army and stuff. And you're thinking, oh god, is this the Defenders? And it's not. It's him being brought out into the bar where Foggy died with a few handful of cops there and Karen, and him just standing there in the suit. And that's where it ends. You're like, okay. And then the mid-credits scene is Frank Castle, which I should have mentioned actually. While we're seeing people everywhere they are, we're seeing Vanessa and Kingpin walking where he had Adam, but there's all these cages and there's all these people. I think they were all the committee. I'm not 100% sure, but Frank Castle is one of them as well. And the mid-credit scene is Frank talking to a guard, finding out who the guard is, where he's from, stuff. Wants to shake his hand, pulls him halfway into the thing, breaks his arm, and that's where it ends. And you're like, the hell was that about? I have no idea what that was meant to be about. But that was the mid-credit scene, so it was nothing to do with Foggy or setting up season 2 or anything like that. So that's it. Season 1 is finished. It was a dumpster fire. And this last episode, while it had some good moments like the action and stuff, by the way, only the blood and guts were CGI, but the actual fighting was real, thankfully. But overall, it was still a garbage episode. There was some good moments between the likes of Frank and Matt and Karen and stuff, but other than that, it was dog shit. It was really dog shit. It led to nothing. Absolutely nothing. So it's like you watch 9 episodes of a show that went nowhere, led to nothing, and in the end it was like, oh, it's about Fisk wanting to make money through this area. That's it. It's like, okay. There's not even an explanation as to why Bullseye decided to try and shoot Mayor Fisk. Like, none. We see Vanessa getting him out and convincing him, like it's a year earlier, seeing her convince him, like, hey, I just need you to shoot this guy and Councillor Foggy. That's it, and you can claim your life back. Nothing about it shows or hints at why he then tried to shoot Kingpin. Either way, it was dog shit. The whole show, all 9 episodes, were horrible, boring, pointless, and utter trash. So, yeah, can't wait for season 2. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.